Reshoot after reshoot, a radically different political landscape than they were predicting, and a budget that is bloated and overblown by millions, despite what the legacy media wants you to believe. It's finally here. Captain America: Brave New World has hit the box office, and now it's time to decide, is it worth your time? We'll explain with a very minor spoiler, honest review. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel that continues to give you what you need in terms of honesty when it comes to entertainment analysis. And we're going to do just the same with the latest Captain America. It is Brave New World, and it is Marvel's dipping of the toes into the 2025 effort. And we are here to tell you, without any doubt whatsoever, that Marvel is done. Folks, I'll explain it. I'll extrapolate on that thought. But wait, we'll get through the review first. Very minor spoilers, then I'll tell you why. In my thought process, having seen this film, Marvel is done. All right, as we get started, click the like button. I had been told by those who had seen it already that it was serviceable, that it was average, it was meh, but it was manageable. And I'm here to tell you that, well, for the most part, they're right. This is a film that is stronger in the first third. In fact, as you get started in this movie, you may, if you are suffering through it, you may say, well, Pro, this seems to be much better than you told me so. And, well, you'll be right for the first half hour. But the very sour reality is that Captain America: Brave New World, by the second act, is getting sloppy. And by the third act, it's just plain all-out silliness, and not in a good way. All right, folks, let's talk about the issues here. First of all, I want to say that the 1970s called, and they want their film grain back. You could watch this in 1080p. You can watch it in 4K. It doesn't matter. 480p is appropriate for this film because it's so blurry, and I think intentionally so, and the camera work is so shoddy, and the post-editing so poor that it does not matter anymore whether you watch this in a resolution that's higher, lower. Save your money. Don't stream it at 1080p if it's pushing your internet. Don't get the Blu-ray when it is finally released. This thing is blurry. There are even some camera shots where it's like a fish lens effect, where the outsides of the shot are blurred for no apparent reason. And it's jarring because it goes back and forth between the style of extreme blurriness, the kind of thing we haven't seen since Rocky, the original, and, well, crisp clarity. And it makes no sense why it's switching between one and the other. Also, it's not always apparent that the actors are where they are supposed to be. Green screen is real in this movie. Now, the Anthony Mackie performance, many of you are going to wonder, how does Sam do? Well, Sam does okay. And Harrison Ford puts out a really impressive performance, especially considering what we've seen from him recently. That's not to say that Thaddeus Ross is a great character. In fact, it's a huge loss for Marvel because even despite what they have done, tearing away at much of the original story, we believe, it's very clear that Thaddeus Ross originally was intended to be allegory and metaphor for Donald J. Trump. El Presidente, Orange Man, bad. In this case, Red Man, bad. Red Hulk, bad, you could say. Well, Thaddeus Ross does things that are still in the movie that give you a very clear indication that he is, in fact, representing how Disney and the global elites believe President Trump is. And they never expected him to win. And this was supposed to be a repudiation movie against Trump and those who believe in Trump. And even at the end of the film, there's an effort to bridge that divide that clearly doesn't exist. This was all in their imagination. But there's a hand across to lift up those poor MAGA morons and say, we forgive you, coming from Captain America. Again, folks, I'm just doing very gentle spoilers. You'll see it when you see it, but I'm not giving you any kind of specificity where you understand what I'm talking about necessarily until you've seen the film. There are also places in the film where it's very clear that Thaddeus Ross represents Trump. For example, there's a place where he talks about how he was an isolationist and he's learning a little bit better. But one of the biggest problems in taking in Harrison Ford's performance and that of Anthony Mackie, who I think both of them do fine. Harrison is far better. By the way, the two standouts in the film, let me give a shout out real quick. Tim Blake Nelson plays the villain. Oh, brother, where have thou been? He does a stout performance. He's a great villain. I hope he returns to the MCU. I don't know. Is he alive? Is he dead? I can't tell you by the end of the film, but I can tell you that I want to see him in more movies and more films. Standout, stellar performance, truly. And that's in spite of terrible, horrible makeup and costuming. I'm talking about some of the worst you've ever seen in a Marvel movie, but his performance is awesome. Also, Carl Lumbly as Isaiah Bradley, fantastic. This man can act even when not much is given to him. Now, all of that said, there's a bit of silliness here. I'm going to take 2 points of silliness that really hold back the film, and it's sort of what causes the whole thing to devolve, right? The first third, you feel like you're watching the Marvel version of The Bourne Identity in some ways. And you can kind of feel that they're wanting to do that Top Gun Maverick thing of some sort of paternal relationship. And then it just all falls apart. It really does. Okay, so let's talk about why. First of all, we're supposed to believe that the United States and Japan are at the brink of war. Yes, in 2025 in the Marvel Universe. Now, how you get there, we'll keep that a secret, but suffice to say, if you know anything about geopolitics today, it's a stretch of the imagination, not only in terms of how you would get those two countries as currently constituted. And by the way, the history of the Marvel Universe is shared with our universe, right? So up until some point, it's all pretty much the same. They have their George Washington. We have the same guy. They have their Abe. He's honest here as well. Not sure about vampire killing, but you know. So the idea that Japan and the United States would be at the edge, the brink of war, is hard to believe from an ideological standpoint, but also in terms of firepower and ability, well, we think Japan is still the same in Marvel as it is in the real world, and we don't want to be offensive to Japan, but Japan would not want to go to war with the United States. So how do you arrive at such a stupid piece of script as to have Japan actually contemplating on an equal footing going to war with the United States? Well, the way that you have that happen is because you cannot have any actual possible war partner against the United States appearing in the movie. So they are all taken off the table. And what are you left with? Pitting allies against one another because there's no way it would ever actually happen, so nobody gets mad. The result of that, however, is that you're glad to get out of the movie because you just watched something that was so preposterously stupid. It's stupid! Now, not only that, but there is a casting choice that we must mock, and seriously so. We're talking about Shira Haas playing Sabra. That is she is playing the role of the personal security detail for the president, Thaddeus Ross. The problem here is not Shira Haas. She's probably a lovely person and a wonderful actress. The problem is whoever cast her in this role is as dumb as someone who said, we're going to do a historical gymnastic film. Where's Andre the Giant? He's going to take the lead role. It doesn't work to have someone who can headbutt a doorknob, taking down men who are ginormous super soldiers. And yes, they repeatedly tell you to try to make it palatable that she is a widow. She's a widow. And it's sort of like if you had an Oompa Loompa appear on the screen and over the character's exposition to you, oh, that Oompa Loompa's a widow. Oh, it's widow, Agent Widow. Ooh, it's widow. Nobody cares. She cannot reach a window. I'm not here to make fun of people who are diminutive in stature. I'm not here to make fun of short people whatsoever. I'm here to tell you that your casting matters. And when we watch someone who looks like they could be a fifth grader taking down giant men in the movie, it removes all credibility. It takes you out of any kind of sensibility of believing what's happening, and it makes you think you're watching Spy Kids. It gets worse, though, because by the end of the film, we have Red Hulk finally make the appearance, and it just gets silly. If you are hoping for the gravitas and the seriousness of Nightcrawler in the White House in X2, well, I'm sorry, you're going to shed more than a few tears because Red Hulk is just not impressive whatsoever. And that's at least in part because of bad CGI. There's also not a very solid ending for that. And in the end of the film, you walk away thinking that this was all supposed to be mocking the current president of the United States, and he likely was supposed to be incarcerated in real life because that's how the film ends. Sorry, folks, that's the big spoiler. I have to say, in order to let you know what's really going on and why this film is so bad, how in the world did Disney and Marvel actually release a movie where someone tries to delete the leader of the free world in the exact same way, basically, it's interior versus exterior, that we saw attempted twice? How in the world did you do reshoots and you didn't remove that considering the current circumstances? And then on top of that, you have that person have an anger problem, which is the way that the left has tried to constantly represent President Trump, and he ends up having to vacate his office because of malconduct and then is incarcerated. This is the left's crazy, wonky, lazy dream that they wanted to manifest. And what that does is it makes the film at the end seem sad. It seems like the final exhale of wokeism. And I don't know if we'll get more of this, but it just seems pathetic at the end. Now, that's not to say the movie's terrible, right? If you turn off your brain, you're going to have a good time in the first third. It's going to progressively get more silly and worse, and I don't know who the movie's for. As the person who went to go see it with me said, there's too much profanity to take little kids. I don't know who, as an adult, is going to enjoy this, because where it starts off in a serious note, it ends in just total silliness. By the way, I can understand now why China, if China supports this film to a greater extent than we're used to seeing with pro-America stuff, I can understand now why China would love this, right? Watching the president turn into a raging Hulk and destroy parts of Washington, D.C., after almost creating a war as a buffoon. Listen, China is going to eat that up, of course. They're watching it and they can't believe that you made it. Little do they know that Bob Iger and his merry men of mischief, well, they know no end to the lunacy that can happen when you fill your company with ideologues. Where is Perlmutter? Listen, bring back Perlmutter. That's the former owner and the guy who was running Marvel. They ran him out. Somebody needs a check on Kevin Feige. Now, I say all of that to finally reach this conclusion, and that is that Marvel is done for the time being. I'm going to put that caveat because anything can resurrect itself, but this franchise is in deep trouble. For 2025, we just received this film. We're going to get Thunderbolts next, and that's going to be a girl boss movie. That's going to go over well. And then you've got a very strange-looking Fantastic Four that no one's really sure how it's going to play out, but it could be another disaster, another flop in the making. And then you got to get into Avengers stuff. But the problem with going to Avengers stuff is the most popular person you have is playing the villain. Robert Downey Jr. will be playing Dr. Doom, at least to start. And all of these other Avengers that we're watching, like no one wants them to be Avengers. Nobody believes in them. It has been a terrible experience going from phase 3 to phase wherever we are, and who cares anymore? That's why Marvel is done, at least for now. They need to stop. And I don't mean stop releasing, or I don't mean stop the release of movies. I mean they need to stop the storyline. Wrap this up. It's done. It's over. You should have ended at Endgame and restarted with something else. It's clear now because you didn't have a solid plan. And instead, what we have is, it's like the end of any great movie, and it just keeps going, and you finally are like, I don't know why there's more story. We finished the bad guy. Like, let's stop. It reminds me now very much of the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. Both of these franchises are in about the same place. I don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And we're not interested in losing more money on this. Surely they're not either. And if you'd like to know just how bad it is, Bob Iger was largely hiding at the premiere of Captain America: Brave New World. Nowhere to be found for photo shoots. They say he was in the theater, but I guess you had to have night vision to find him. Ultimately, what do I give this film? A 4.5 out of 10. Is it passable? Sure, you could watch it. It's not culturally offensive unless you really pay attention to what was the original story that they've tried to scrub, which was highly political, we believe. But is it something that you would want to watch or remember? No. If Marvel, if the MCU, if you considered all of these different movies to be episodes in a TV show, this would easily be in the bottom 15%, and you would recommend people skip it. In fact, I don't know what purpose it serves to watch it. I don't know how it connects with anything. It turns out that Sam Wilson really didn't develop much at all as far as a character goes, and his big question for the entire film appears to be, why didn't I take the super serum? By the end of the film, that answer is really not apparent. They give a speech, but it's platitudes without any kind of substance. I don't understand what it is that super serum gives you if Sam Wilson can smash down in the first 5 minutes of the film onto the earth with the power that would shatter a man into a million pieces, and yet he's just A-OK fine. It goes all through the movie where there's never a time that he really needed super serum whatsoever. And so there's no development, there's no real issue here. We're just going through the motions so we can get to watch not Captain America face not green Bruce Banner Hulk, but this other thing that was always supposed to represent President Trump. And as a result, there's really no story here. And if you want something more interesting, just watch the latest, greatest headlines of the news. What we're finding out about government funding entertainment and news organizations every single day through Doge, that's where the real fun is. That's where the real entertainment is to watch and see what's happening in the real world. And maybe Elon Musk all along was the real Tony Stark. Folks, that is the video. That is the honest review of Captain America Brave New World. We hope you enjoyed. And I can't recommend it, but I can tell you that if you're drugged to go see it, you'll be okay so long as you enjoy the popcorn and your soda wherever you are in the theater. Likely, you won't have too much competition and you'll have a good seat no matter. All right, folks, we'll see you real soon. Drop a comment down below. Let us know what's your favorite Marvel movie, what's the worst, and are you going to see this one? Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Jump into the water.
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
Want it all, so I give them cannonball. Yeah!
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.